Except they called it golf.
Sorry, 1400s.
Oh, good. I was going to correct you, but luckily you caught that for yourself.
Wow.
That is really cool.
That
I
is
like
awesome.
it. Thank you, everybody. What
That's
fun
so
little
nice.
gifts. We got lots of fun stuff. This has been a win for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
I like it. Hooray for all of us. Christmas is upon us. God bless us, everyone.
Today's episode brought to you by our therapy partner, Dirty B.
Dirty
From
Bizzle.
fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. It was a Merry Christmas for all of us.
Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a good night.
There you go, finish
Sorry.
it.
Yeah,
May as well,
yeah.
And now, broadcasting from the churn, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman.
One
Time for some
small
Pod
step
Therapy.
for man, one giant leap for Saint
So
Nick.
I played, I was in the Christmas Carol in elementary school.
Okay.
You know, the elementary school production.
This is
I was really hoping you were about to say like earlier this week.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Christmas
In the
Carol
community
earlier
musical
this
theater.
week.
No, it wasn't elementary. I just got the part now.
that stuff's
But no, I played Peter Cratchit.
Okay.
Which one is that?
Oh, no, hold on. I know, because I just watched the Muppets Christmas Carol. Do you remember who it is?
Yeah. So it's Tiny Tim's older brother.
Yes, he's the guy that spins the turkey.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what Muppet plays him?
He's a frog. He's a Kermit. He's a Kermit the Frog.
Ah.
But he's not Kermit the Frog, because Kermit the Frog is
Bob
Cratchit. He's the dad.
Great.
Yeah. And Miss Piggy is his wife.
Good.
And they have two twin daughters who are also piggies, as I believe was in the original story.
Right. That's all canon.
Yeah. Also, of all the Christmas carols, I think you guys would agree that the Muppet Christmas Carol, the classic one, is the right one, right?
I'd say number 2.
I like
Number 2.
It's number 2.
Christmas Carol, the sequel.
No, I'm saying it's number 2 on the list.
Oh, okay.
George
Not
C.
the best.
Scott. George C. Scott playing Scrooge. was
Also
probably
very
my
good.
favorite.
Number 3.
Oh,
You're so
what's
close.
yours?
what is number 1?
Number 1 is clearly Scrooged.
Oh,
Starring Bill Murray.
I actually really want to see that. I've never seen that.
Oh, it's
really?
great.
It's
Yeah, it's
pretty
pretty good.
solid.
Yeah.
Anything with Bill Murray is probably pretty good. So if you are just tuning in, you probably heard a voice that doesn't belong to any of these three idiots, and it is my little sister.
Oh, hello, Jim.
Hello, my little sister's from London, England.
Yes, it's where I'm from. I just flew in.
Yeah, and boy, are my arms tired. And she's terrible at humor.
Yes.
My
take after my
actual
older
little
brother.
sister is not the British lady with the New Orleans accent. It's my little sister, Maddie.
How is that a New Orleans
Hello.
accent?
It's clearly a New Orleans accent.
It's just not.
He also thinks like Idaho is in the south or something, right?
Yeah. Wait, what?
You don't
Which
really
one
know
are you from?
geography, so
You're from Iowa.
Which is also not in the South.
No. They have accents. You have accents in Iowa.
Everyone has accents.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have southern accents in Iowa. It's
No.
like a farmer
No,
accent.
not at all.
No.
You don't?
No. Southern accent?
No.
What do they sound like in Iowa?
Like a mix between Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Have you ever seen Pet Cemetery?
No.
The old man who like knows about the cemetery that guides the kid to bury his cat.
Uh-huh.
That's what an Iowa accent sounds
It's a
like.
deep cut. To be
Yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you.
So,
I'm not even.
Very
you don't want
specific.
to go up there now.
No.
No,
That's
no,
Iowa?
You don't want to bury your cat there. It'll come back
No,
to life
come
and it'll
on,
scratch
that's
your fucking
not
balls
Iowa.
off.
No,
That's like Bing Crosby, dude.
yeah, Bing Crosby.
Yeah, Iowa, yeah. Iowa's native
Iowa's
son.
favorite son,
Yeah.
Bing Crosby.
All right, that's fair. So my little sister Maddie is visiting from Nashville, Tennessee.
yeah.
And you can learn all about her if you go to patreon.com/therapy. Otherwise, she's going to join us and answer some questions along with us. And we had some awesome
Yeah, she is.
gifts.
She's shaking her head. Yeah, she is.
So
She's
know what
shaking
questions
yes,
would
You,
somebody
violently.
would want to hear me answer.
She's a future therapist. She's enrolling in therapy school. Yay! It's going to be fun.
Don't let not knowing the answer keep you from talking.
Hasn't
That's my
stopped
secret.
us. Hasn't stopped us. That was actually what I told her on the way here because I was like, "You're gonna answer questions." She's like, "Oh, well, I'm not qualified." I was like, "Don't worry about
You're
that."
at least as qualified as anyone else here.
Well, the guy with the jingle is actually the most qualified. The jingle is quite authoritative.
Yeah.
We got tons of Christmas swag and gifts that you can check out if you want to hear us do our annual gift exchange.
Jim
And
bought Nick a bong.
I did. I didn't know it was a bong. We've been over this. I thought it was an ancient artifact. I didn't know it was also a bong.
It's just an old used bong.
But isn't everything a bong? Like, I don't understand the
if you
difference.
put your mind to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
Yeah,
I was
think-
told that was like actual important, classic architecture crap. Anyway, also happy birthday to Jacob.
Thank you.
Hooray. If you'd like to hear his inevitable strip club story, also at Patreon. And then we got lots of goodies of food around the world. I am currently drinking some Earn Brew.
A Scottish beverage.
Apparently, it is a soda that outsells Coke. And this is the only place on Earth where Coke is not the #1 seller. It's this orange stuff.
It is. What
God
people
damn, it's
drink in
good,
different regions of the world is actually super interesting. Like the main either
so
beverage or alcoholic beverage, it's so weird.
Did you do the around the world thing at the Coca-Cola place?
I did. We used
No.
to go on. Did you ever
Yeah.
go there, Maddie?
Yeah, the place was awesome.
Did you go on a field trip there?
They closed it, right? It's
They
not
did
the
close
same.
it. But when we were kids,
Yeah, that was super fucking
that was the
cool.
best field trip in school. You get to
Yeah.
go there, you
You
get to
could
try out
taste
all of
Coke
them.
from
Oh,
like
the
Mexico
Coca-Cola
and
Yeah.
all different
thing
places.
Yeah, on the
used to be in
strip.
Vegas.
You'd get
Yeah,
real
yeah.
sugar Coke
That
or
was
whatever.
awesome.
Yeah.
In Echo in Mexico.
sugar.
We get Tab. That was really cool. And Surge. That was awesome.
Yeah, nobody wants Surge.
Yeah.
I
Do you
remember
know
when
what the
Surge came
number
out, it was
one
terrible.
most popular drink in the world is?
Water.
Fuck you. Why'd you do that?
Sorry, I thought you were gonna shock us.
I
with
mean, you
something.
did ask a question, and she answered.
Do you want me
it.
to sit in the car until
I
you're
feel
done?
Yeah, go to the fucking car. This is.
Sit
You're
behind-
embarrassing me in front of my
I'm
friends.
sorry, guys. Jesus Christ.
No, you're not.
We talked about this the whole ride here. I told you.
Oh.
I was going to get him. It was a zinger. All right.
Sorry.
It is water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
no, we
doesn't
knew.
happen.
I think
Yeah.
everyone.
No
knows.
one was puzzled by the question.
No.
I kind of thought
Yeah.
you'd say like coffee.
I feel like you kind of built that up a little bit too much in your
Because
head.
people usually
Yeah.
go like coffee.
I think you should thank Maddie
beer.
for ruining that for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Just nip that in the bud right now.
Yeah.
Let's not
Landed.
draw
Because
that
it would
out
have
any
been more
longer.
embarrassing if, when Nick or I inevitably said water.
You just,
Yeah.
you just steal my fucking thunder and then you step on my jokes. This is just your graduation
jokes are
speech all
funny.
over again.
She's here for your job.
I know, seriously. You're
No.
going to take over.
Did Jim give a speech for your graduation?
Not this graduation, but he did for my high school graduation.
I was the keynote
Oh,
If
I,
you could please hold on, just a second.
Oh no.
Talk amongst yourselves.
okay, all right.
speaker. Jacob has gotten up.
Just stand up.
Okay. Okay.
Just stand up.
All
He
right.
is now
Okay.
taking over the
Thank you.
microphone.
What is
He's having
happening?
Maddie stand up. He's going back to his
All right,
microphone.
Maddie is on her feet.
Yes.
And so I feel that she is prepared now to reenact Jim's birthday or Jim's high school graduation
Yes.
speech.
Oh,
that
yes.
he gave.
please.
Now
at
you're
her
ready.
graduation.
Now
Oh
you're
my
ready.
Maddie,
God.
the
Yes.
floor is yours.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Can you
All
remember
right.
any of my speech?
Well, first, my brother was my professor, or not my professor, my teacher
I was.
in my high school.
I did.
So that was awkward.
That
but
was
then
awkward.
he gave a very long, drawn-out speech. That
I
was
did.
it was really just trying to demonstrate how good of a speaker he was.
That was most of it.
And let's hear it.
I can't. Dude,
Four
it was like
We wa-
scores
we want you to do a-
7
we want you to
years
do a
ago.
Jim
it
impression.
was a 45-minute speech.
Let's
we all
hear
had
it.
to just
Let's
sit
hear
there.
it.
And,
Give us
It
your best,
exists
give
somewhere
us your
on the
best
internet.
impression
I'll
of
just
that
tell
speech.
you what it was about.
Yeah.
He gave us all
You also don't have to stand anymore. He's
so
just-
like
he's
biblical
done with
names, like biblical
Oh, you're just
teachers or
incorrect.
whatever. They would like give a new name to their pupil
That's
after
true.
they like mastered
I'm
something.
surprised you remember this.
Yeah, well, you talked about it for a while
Okay,
afterward.
that was 45 minutes.
He gave each person. I mean, my graduating class was like 9 kids. He gave us each a new name. As
Wait,
though,
wait, wait,
Hold
wait,
on.
As
wait.
though
Yeah.
he was the
45 minutes for 9 kids?
Okay,
That was a long
okay, Maddie,
time.
you can sit back down
Okay,
now.
okay.
That is not what I care about at all.
I don't know the
Jim addressed your classmates
Yeah.
in his graduation speech about you.
No.
No, so he
Well,
was a
yes.
teacher at the school I went to, and
Uh-huh.
at graduation he got to give the speech.
Yeah. The keynote speech.
The keynote speech.
Yeah.
So, like, his speech was about all of us, and he gave each one of us a new name,
yeah.
as a master does.
You know, Jim,
Symbolic name.
Anytime,
Oh, my-
anytime
Yep.
I start to take your mother seriously when she says that I pick on you too much. Something like this comes up,
It's not
Uh-huh.
enough.
and I realize that no one has ever picked on you enough.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is what
It
happens.
was a very moving speech.
This is what happens
bet
to
it
a
was.
kid
It
that's
was.
never picked on.
Yeah.
First
No,
off,
I believe that you believed it was a very moving
it was
speech.
a very moving speech. There
Yes.
were tears.
It really was an
It
incredible
was
speech.
on a fuck
It
you
was.
both. It was really good. Though I was experimenting with my mustache at the time, and that didn't
Also,
go
Jim,
well.
she just told us how she didn't remember the speech.
Except for the theme of
It
it.
was a
Except for
long
one, she
speech.
remembers one part of it, of
So-
your 45-minute speech.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
was your name that he gave you?
Oh,
It was something like
Shithead.
compassion. Like,
and I
It was something in
That's such
Latin.
a great finish.
They were all like Latin
They
names.
were all
or
Latin
something.
names.
And
Yeah.
there was something to do with compassion.
I think so. God damn, I don't remember. I don't
You
remember
gave
any of
all the students a Latin.
Yeah,
I
he
did,
would.
yeah.
Each student, he would be like, "I now name you."
Yeah.
And then he would say the new name.
Yeah, it was very powerful.
And he was like, "Please stand up."
Yes.
while I
Oh yeah, I
name
made them
you."
stand up.
And we'd have to stand there for the 10 minutes he told us about our new name.
Yeah,
in front
and
of
what
our
it
Oh
meant.
my
families.
And
God.
like
I
the
mean,
meaning of it.
it was a tearjerker. Like,
It was a
there's
tearjerker.
9 kids in the class, so
But
it
I knew
actually
each
did
one
mean
of the
something.
kids. So you know what's funny is there is a patron
Not
of
that
the
speech.
show who is listening to this right now
am
who
I
is laughing their ass off, and it's Brady.
Oh no, Brady! What
Yeah,
are you
Brady
doing?
is listening to the show.
Brady.
He patrons the show.
I didn't know it had gotten so bad for him.
Brady, whatever's gone wrong in your life, turn around, buddy.
Call me, man.
You should
Let's
not
figure
be
this
listening
out.
to Pod Therapy.
So the length
It's
of the
okay.
speech does not surprised at all.
No,
Because
that
Jim
was
is
the right amount of time.
No, it's
Jim
not.
loves to hear himself talk.
No, well, it's not only that, but
I am on a podcast.
Jim will send the same message I send in
That's good.
about 3 paragraphs that I would say in about 5 words.
That's mostly, what happens.
And most of it's just fluff.
Most of what Jim says
we call
could
it
be,
filler. It's pizzazz.
Most of what Jim says could be a 1-sentence email.
Yeah.
And he has a weekly podcast.
Yeah. It was really funny because when Nick and I both worked at a rehab, that is exactly what clinical meetings were. It was me going on for, like, it would start, Nick would call the meeting to order and say, all right, everybody, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Jim has some thoughts. And then he'd just see me like, fuck. And then I would, like, go into each one of those bullet points for an hour. And then at the end, he'd be like, all right, so you guys remember those 3 bullet points? Great. Everybody go back to work. So this is all true. But it was a moving speech. A lot of people liked it.
It caused her to move to Tennessee.
Honestly, yes. Promptly afterward, that did happen.
These kids did grow up. Like, they went
Yeah.
through middle school and high school with
I
him
did
as
have
their
them for a long
teacher.
time.
He was the only teacher that had stayed throughout
Yes.
all of that.
See,
and-
Thank
Did
you, Matt.
the other
did
students
mean a
also
lot.
think that Jim was a pompous dork?
Probably. But they tolerated
I mean,
me.
Brady didn't.
Brady liked me. Brady and I got along.
Clearly.
Brady had good taste.
Yeah.
Gotta love that kid.
I don't
He's a
know.
great man.
That is one of the more pompous things I've ever heard.
Yep.
Giving high school children Latin names
Yeah.
so that you can talk for 45 minutes.
It was very moving. The parents were absolutely beside themselves
Yeah.
with how well I knew their kids.
They were drunk.
Yes. Well, it was, communion wine was served. It was a church. So there was that. Thank you for that riveting story,
Yeah.
Madison.
Anytime. I've got tons more.
No, that's okay. I think
the entire show
between
today.
stepping
think
on
we
my
can,
joke about water and then giving them that little fact.
Still not a
about-
joke.
Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure Nick has furiously turned to the internet to find this speech.
Oh,
No.
no.
Okay, good.
Nope.
It
Yeah.
might be on
It's
there.
out there. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I need to get on that. I'm gonna have to start locking that down here real soon. So I have something to do after the show. But
Okay.
anyway, so my sister's here. Patreon.com/therapy. Lots of goodies. You can catch the extra content that goes along with our Christmas episode and hear all the fun things we get to eat and the great prank that was actually played on me during the gifts. Well done, Slurpee Kaye.
Yep.
Well played indeed. It was a good time. And then also in the Patreon this week, as we're taping this one, Christmas week, I guess. Is it technically? I don't know, whatever. Episode 3 of the ADHD Deep Dive has come out that goes into assessment and treatment of ADHD. And then you've got something coming out here as we turn to the new year.
Yeah.
You've already committed yourself, man. You've
I've already
put it out there.
recorded it. I just
Yeah.
need to know when to post it.
Oh, probably Jan 1st, right?
January 1st?
I think so. I
Okay.
don't know what day that is, but well, whatever the Monday is, that would be near
Okay.
January 1st.
Yeah. So
What
wait,
about the day after Christmas,
a
maybe?
little
Do that.
Yeah,
Do
day after
26th.
Christmas. There you go.
Yeah, we're committing to it right now, right? It's already done, right?
What?
The
It's
record-
recorded. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
It's recorded. I just
Yeah.
have to upload
We
it.
should probably tell people what it is.
Nah, fuck it.
Yeah, you know what? Patron.
Yep. No, it's a deep dive on goal setting. So yeah, look for that. And then there's still time to sign up for the Pod Therapy Fitness Challenge.
Fitness challenge in your pod therapy.
Yep. That goes January through February. It's going to be a lot of fun. So there's going to be 3 workouts per week. You're going to have access to the Mental Fit app. There's going to be a lot of bonus stuff in there, some blogs that I'm writing. And then I'll be doing some videos of like demonstrating some of the workout stuff that we're going to be doing, because I want to make sure if we're going to do workouts that everybody's doing doing it properly.
Yeah.
Proper form and all that. So there's going to be a video
Yeah.
of me demonstrating some stuff. So I will be in the nude when
Yep.
demonstrating.
I was
all
gonna
these
say,
movements.
even if you don't want to do the fitness challenge, you just want to watch Nick demonstrate
yeah.
shit.
You
then
don't
can
want
just
to
write
tune
be
in
like,
just for
"Can you
downward
do that
dog.
again?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Down,
Can you
that's
just-
gross.
What?
I don't want to see that.
I was doing bicep curls. Why is this? No. I just trust me. It's a method. I just need you to help me.
Yeah.
You could just do that again. That'd be wonderful.
Good news, I found Jim's speech.
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
It is on child sex predators list .gov.
It was on To Catch a Predator at NBC. Oh, I'm glad he didn't find that. So, website.
Go to mentalfitpersonaltraining.com.
Just want to appreciate that you
And
had
then,
to think about it.
I did.
Okay,
And then
shorten the website.
Right up
whatever.
at the top, there's just a little link there. It says Pod Therapy Fitness Challenge. Click on that.
Fitness
There's a
challenge.
form. You fill out the form, and then
You're in.
You're
in
in.
like Flint.
you're in.
So, as we are talking, I've been sipping from my Best of Las Vegas shot glass, and I've been sipping Jacob's birthday scotch. And I'll be honest, that is some strong scotch. And so I'm chasing it with this Earn Brew. Do you want to have some scotch?
I didn't know you.
I got you a shot glass. Get some of that birthday scotch.
Yeah, I announced that I opened it up.
He didn't wait, bro. Like, as you
I
were
opened
handing
it while
him
the next
package, he
people
was
were
already
already
pouring
opening it. Yeah,
straight into a glass.
I've already had a couple of glasses.
Yeah,
of it. I
that
don't know
thing
what you're
didn't
talking
hit the
about.
table. Like, it was poured very.
Yeah,
I was
quickly.
like, I guess
I gotta
Nick
try
doesn't
this.
want any scotch.
That is delicious, though. But I'm chasing it with this Earn Bruh. And do you think that's how you pronounce it? Earn Bruh? Earn Bruh. Earn Bruh. I don't speak Scottish. So it says, it's brew. It says brewed in Scotland, a secret recipe since 1901.
I think Iron Brew.
I was actually.
That makes more sense.
I was really excited to try this one.
Oh, nice.
Because I saw the.
We go ahead and have another glass.
Because
Of
it's
it.
aged in.
Why not? It's your
in
birthday.
rum.
Maddie,
I'm okay. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
She's my D&D.
Yeah, I figured. I figured by that statement, this is very strong. I'm like, all right, Cyan.
Keys to
I am
me.
driving.
it's whiskey strength. It's not that strong.
Woo.
It's 43%. That's normal
like it.
whiskey.
I do like that. That
It's
is
tasty.
good.
It's the annual Pod Therapy Christmas party / Jacob's birthday party. Hallelujah.
Happy birthday to Jacob and Jesus.
And Jesus.
Yep.
In whatever order, you know.
You know,
I consider him the Jesus of Nolans. So, you know.
All right, should we?
Is that not how you pronounce
should we do a show?
All right.
I believe it's Jesus.
I think we already started the intro music, so I'll just go with a question. The first question is from our buddy, Dr. James O'Hanlon,
Hello.
who had that In Situ podcast,
In
which
Situ
I was
Science.
on. Yeah, that was a fun one. And his question is, what are phobias? Hey, you 3 equally important contributors to the show. Thanks for that, James.
Hello.
I'm working on a book project doing a lot of research into spiders. And I've been reading a lot of psychology papers that are talking about how specific phobias are the most prominent anxiety disorder. And of these, animal phobias are the most common. And of these, spider phobias are the worst. And it struck me as strange that specific phobias are apparently the most common anxiety disorder when I don't think I've heard you guys talk about them at all on the show. Are they...
Because we're scared to talk about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. The spiders hear you, they come whoop your ass. Are they really that common? And how bad can they be? If someone is so terrified of something, how do you even start the process of getting them to expose themselves to it? In summary, I'm procrastinating with my own research and was hoping some professionals with a podcast would just do it for me. Thanks, guys. James, the In Situ Science guy.
I don't know the answer to your question,
Yes.
but I believe that the movie Arachnophobia
Aha.
still holds the record for having the most trained animals in a film.
The spiders were real?
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's pre-CGI, buddy.
What?
They had hundreds of spiders on that set.
They were trained?
I mean,
You can train
I believe
spiders?
trained is being used generously.
Weaponized, I think, is the right word. Because if you have trained spiders, you have created a biological weapon.
I mean, I would bet that there was, like, oh, here's some spiders on this end of a table, and we're putting something on the other end of the table that
And
the
now they go
spiders
get
want,
that
and now
thing.
they go to the thing.
Yeah.
I believe that's probably about the extent of the training.
They
that
taught
there
them to
was.
smell fear, Jacob.
Yeah.
That's what I think it was.
Do you have a phobia of animals?
Fucking spiders are the devil.
No.
I'm not trying to mess with
Spiders,
spiders.
huh? Okay.
I mean, I don't. There's animals I don't care for, but nothing that I would say would be like
That
a
you're
phobia.
like scared of. Have you
Well,
ever seen
no,
a
but like,
centipede?
but there's
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
those are
centipedes.
fucking
That's
scary.
terrifying.
But there's a difference between just
Millipede,
being
too.
afraid of something and a phobia.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference? I mean, like, I think of a phobia as almost like, I don't want to say irrational, but like
well, that
to
is
a
part of it, actually.
to a level
Yeah.
that is irrational.
It is.
You know, like, so
Yeah, no, you're quoting the DSM. That is true.
Okay.
So it's disproportionate.
yeah.
So like a phobia,
Disproportionate. I guess that's
that
kinda
was
what I
it.
was looking
That's what you're
for.
fishing
Yeah.
for. Yeah. So like just to clarify, so like a phobia, these are real. So specific phobia is a diagnosis in the DSM. That's not just a clever way to describe something. That's actually a real disorder. And the criteria for that include what Nick just said, a disproportionate reaction to something that is probably non-threatening or non-lethal, or can be, but your reaction doesn't make any sense. And then consistency. So like every time you're exposed to this, you have the same kind of flip out sort of reaction to it. And then the other criteria I think is like avoidance. So you're like irrationally, hyper vigilantly avoiding anything that looks like that thing. And so it doesn't have to just be like spiders. It could be planes. Like some people have fear of heights.
Claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia,
Big one.
fear of being in trains or elevators, anything like that. There are ones where people are afraid of choking, afraid of some kind of food poisoning. And so what's interesting about this is it can very much border or be adjacent to like OCD stuff, where you're having intrusive thoughts and you're fearful of like something bad happening to you and you're kind of like repetitive about that. But phobias, I mean, that's the difference between them is like
Anatetophobia
What's that?
is the irrational fear that somehow a duck is watching you.
Oh, shut up.
It's not real, but it was in a Far Side cartoon.
It
in
didn't
the
used to be
90s.
real. Now it is.
No, Gary Larson invented that in a
That
Far
is
Side cartoon.
So funny.
Somehow, somewhere, a duck is watching you.
A duck is watching you right now.
Yeah.
God, that is so funny. So you don't have any fears, Nick?
Well, I got fears, but nothing.
No, like
that would be-
phobia stuff.
No, I mean,
Scared of the dark. Just write them down.
no.
Write down a list of fears for me. Trust me with that information.
I actually have a note in here, so I keep a note of like stuff to talk about during the Patreon part of the show in case we ever get like stuck.
The boneyard. Yeah.
One of the things I have on here is actually Jim's list of fears because it's something that you mentioned once and then just skated right on through it, and then we got onto some other topic, and I stopped. Like, I'm writing that down because
Okay.
I really want to come back and
Today's the day.
revisit.
Today's
that.
the day. We go over
I don't
Jim's
have
list
any
of phobias.
I don't really have any. I had some weird fears as a kid. Like, I remember watching JFK when I was like in 4th grade or something. And
Fear
then
of being president.
I
Yeah.
I had a fear like the people who killed Kennedy were like in my closet. Like
Oh.
I knew too much. Like they, like
You're the kid
Yeah.
that figured it out.
Yeah.
We
By-
got to
by
go to the
watching
Midwest
JFK.
and we got to whack this Nicky kid.
Yeah.
He figured it all out, guys. He
Um,
knows about the grassy knoll.
But no, like I don't dig spiders. I don't really care for spiders.
I'm not about that.
I found a
But I'm nothing big.
I found a website here. I don't know. It's a UK website. I don't know if it's legit or not, but it seems like it could be. And it has their list of the 5 most common phobias.
Okay. Spiders probably number 1.
Spiders number 1 with a
Snakes.
bullet.
All right. What do you
Snakes
think?
number 2.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You got snakes. All right.
Right?
You got
Heights.
spiders and snakes off the board.
Claustrophobia.
Number 3, heights.
What'd she get? Heights?
Yeah.
You're gonna be a great
Claustrophobia?
therapist, kid.
These are
you
all
stick at
everyone
it.
knows.
Number 4, agoraphobia, fear of situations where escape is difficult.
Agoraphobia. Or is it agoraphobia?
It's agoraphobia.
No,
Agoraphobia,
agoraphobia
is
is
fear of
fear
leaving.
of
Exposure.
yeah.
He's right.
Agoraphoria. I don't know.
You're fine.
Maybe agoraphoria.
So that's
I don't know.
4. Number 5.
It's another animal. We're back.
We got snakes.
3
we
out
got
of 5.
Spiders.
3 out of 5 of them are animals.
You think
Definitely
it's-
donkeys.
Do you think it's birds? I feel like
Oh,
birds.
yeah, maybe.
People do
It's
have
another
fear of-
movie.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
birds. That
Is
was
it
a
birds?
movie.
It's not birds.
Okay. It's not sharks.
Is it a predator type thing? Like that?
bugs?
It is
Germs?
a carnivorous animal.
Germs.
I don't think germs are carnivorous.
Amoebas.
No.
Snails.
It's an animal you can see. I don't know if you could have. I guess you
wolves?
could have a phobia of. What'd you say?
Wolves?
Dogs.
Dogs.
There's a phobia.
Oh
of
yeah, yeah, of
dogs.
Yeah.
course. Yeah, a lot of people are afraid of dogs.
Yeah,
A lot of
especially if
people-
they're
Yeah,
like bitten
that's
as a kid
fair.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
Caninophobia? Is that what that's called?
I would pronounce this word cynophobia.
Oh,
CYNO phobia.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's really interesting. All right, so Maddie, you're a feminist. But if there's a bug in your house,
What?
Are you killing it?
Dude,
a
have you
Or is
weird
your husband
beginning of a
killing
Have
it?
you
sentence.
seen the Bo Burnham? Have you seen the Bo Burnham part 2 of Inside Out or Inside?
Oh,
Have you seen his special at all? The
I've
Inside
seen his
special?
I've seen parts of stuff.
So
Yeah.
he just came out with like a part 2 to it,
Okay.
and he
Okay.
does a song about this, and it's so fucking funny.
Okay. It's
He's
like-
like everyone's a feminist until there's a spider around, and he talks about how his girlfriend is like a total like anti-sexist
Yeah.
feminist, like she's a patriarchy fighter.
Yeah.
But the second there's a
Wearing
spider,
a vagina hat.
she's like, "Be a man," and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding? Like that's not cool."
Spider's
Alright.
gonna carry
Are
me
you
away.
a spider whacker?
No,
in your
absolutely
house?
not.
You go get your husband.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Me too. I go get her husband. It's a fucking. I'm not trying to deal with. They say the only thing worse than finding a spider is losing a spider, and that is so true. That is so
The only
true.
thing worse than finding a spider in your house, finding a bear in your house.
That is honestly.
I mean,
worse.
you should
Losing
be-
a bear.
Losing a
bear
bear.
in the house
Oh
is much
shit!
worse.
Where did he go? And just hear the growl. Ah!
I can hear it in the walls.
Is he under that tea cozy?
Years ago, I lived in Georgia for a while, and I remember there was my bedroom was carpeted, and I was next to my bed there was a large wolf spider.
Oh, those are
which are big,
Yeah, yeah.
hairy
Oh
spiders.
yeah, those are the devil.
And this thing was, I don't know, it was probably about as big around as a baseball. Like it was a pretty big, spider. And I saw it, and I hit it with a shoe. I was going to squash it with a
You
shoe.
only pissed it off, my man.
It looked at me.
Grabbed the shoe.
It looked at me, held one leg up. It flipped me off. No, it like I felt like it shook itself off, but when it shook itself off, all this dust just flew off of it,
Oh shit.
and then the dust started moving in the carpet, and it was
The babies.
hundreds, if not thousands, of spider babies.
Oh,
And I
my
lost my
God,
shit.
you
You
burn
moved.
It is
You
the
gotta move.
only time
burn
I
it
left
all
the state.
down. Yeah, now I live in
Yeah.
Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
I
No.
live on the other side of the country.
Oh
So-
man,
I ran. I ran. I had an irrational terror.
Oh,
That's not
just
irrational.
wash
That's
over
no,
me.
that's not
irrational.
irrational at all. You
I
did
have
exactly
never
the right
had
thing.
that, but I would do the
So
exact same thing.
terrible.
If they like spread like
It was like
yeah.
all of a sudden it went from the threat in the room was the size of a spider to the threat in the room
Was the
was
room.
roughly a 4x4 area of floor.
Yeah.
Oh, the floor's lava.
Oh my
I
God.
ran to
Floor
the
is
kitchen
spiders.
and we had a can of Raid under the kitchen cabinet.
Uh-huh.
And I
Punctured it with a knife and
soaked.
threw it.
I soaked that flooring. I soaked the carpeting all the way through.
But like
Oh.
I used the entire can. I emptied the can until nothing was moving, and then I ran a vacuum cleaner over the whole area.
Oh my gosh.
It
I mean,
was-
like,
You went back.
I have never had an issue with any kind of animal,
That's too much.
but
though.
that in that moment,
wolf spider plus
I was
baby
like,
team.
nope,
Nope.
fuck everybody.
that is a
Burn it down.
terrifying thing though.
Oh,
like
yeah, it is.
because you don't see that with any other animal. Like you don't shoot a lion
And then more
and then
lions
like,
pop out.
Yeah, then like thousands of lions
Yeah,
all of a sudden
yeah.
come from that one
That
lion.
is a spider phenomenon.
Yeah.
And that, everybody has that story of like, yeah, I whacked it, and all of a sudden there was 1,000 of them.
No,
like,
but where
it's
he
like
was-
a goddamn hydra.
Where he was going with that first, I had a very similar experience. This was back in Iowa. We were going camping. It was a Friday afternoon. We were going
He hit an
camping
ear
for the
of
weekend.
corn.
Yeah.
No, and so
Kill
we
it.
had a stack of wood that we chopped down because we cut down like 7 different trees at one point. So we piled up all the wood. So I'm gathering up the wood. We're going to take it for the campfire. And so then I moved one piece, huge wolf spider there.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
And so I did the same thing where I hit it with a stick.
They
or like
are
a log.
they are a
And
hardy
I swear to
spider.
God, yeah, the thing, and it did the same thing. It just looked up at me like,
Yeah.
dude, what the
Son
fuck?
of a bitch.
Yeah, it just gave me a
You
look.
come to my forest.
Yeah.
You cut down my family tree.
Yeah, and it was not hurt. It was pissed.
Oh.
It was angry.
Lightly aggravated.
Yeah.
So James O'Hanlon, who wrote us this, is from Australia.
Oh, we had a question.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, and that is a different kind of bad, right? Like Australia. So the only place I've ever seen scary ass spiders was actually in Florida. So Maddie and I grew up in Vegas, and then I went to college here and stuff. Maddie left and went to Florida and did like, I don't know, middle school and high school,
Yeah.
I think in Florida, and then came
Yeah.
back to Vegas for a little while and then went to Tennessee. But in Florida, I would fly back and I'd visit you guys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I went to Papa's house, and you know, like he had that whole front property.
Yeah.
It was just like
It
trees.
was like in
and-
the woods.
It was
yeah.
basically woods.
Yeah.
And so you know how he had F-150s in the yard, just like all of his decommissioned trucks that he just leave out there or
Yeah.
whatever when they retired them. So I just kind of like started driving, and I was like 16, 17. and I was bored because I didn't want to like hang out at his house the whole time. I was like, hey, do any of your trucks run? If I can get one to run, can I drive it to like the store? And he was like, yeah, just like threw me like a basket of keys, and he's like, go figure it out. And so I go out and find one, and I put a key in there, open it up. It's just old decommissioned F-150. I open up the door. I slide into the bench, and as I'm sliding in, I am just coated.
Oh, God.
Yep. I am coated in spider webs.
Yeah.
And I'm so bewildered because I'm from Vegas. I don't know what the fuck this is. I'm like, what is this? Is this like some kind of like dust in here? Like, what is this? Like a tree? And so like, I'm trying to like get my bearings. I'm like looking at my hands and feet and like slowly coming to the realization that I am covered in like not thin spider webs. Like this is like a net.
Oh yeah.
And then
and what'd she say about it?
Right? Annette was pissed. And so then I look over, I go to reach over for the door. So I reach to my left, I go to grab the handle.
This is a nightmare.
Yep, it is. And I go to grab for the handle, and brother,
I don't want to listen anymore.
it was one of those banana spiders.
Oh,
this
yeah.
son of a bitch was the size of a football.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy
just
shit.
Yeah, they're
the
big.
longest black and yellow spiny-ass legs.
Oh my God.
Huge fucking body. I just shit myself. I mean, I fell out of this truck. I am running inside. And of course, I go to Papa and I'm like, oh, there's a beast. Like, I'm like screaming the lyrics from like Beauty and the Beast. Like, he's got fangs and they're long ones. And like, come on, grab your torch, tally ho. And he's just looking at me like, you are such a pussy.
Yeah, he's
like, you are
city
so
kid.
disappointing as a grandson. Because he was like chewing tobacco, building houses with his bare fucking hands.
The house that my brother's talking about is the
He
house
built it.
he built.
He built it himself.
Yeah.
Nobody helped him.
He was a
did it
farmer for
himself.
his whole life. Then he did contracting work and built
Badass.
houses.
He probably would have put a cigarette out on that fucking spider.
Yeah.
You've
and
probably
then,
seen
and
some
then you
shit.
as a punishment.
In Florida, did you ever see some
Such an
crazy-
embarrassment for grandson.
You guys had like snakes and stuff in your backyard?
in
Florida? Mom used to tell me about
we
like
did.
you guys had snakes back
They were
there.
pretty harmless.
She was scared to let the dogs run
They
around.
were mostly just garden snakes.
No snake
but-
is harmless. No.
Oh, sure they are.
No.
We had harmful snakes.
Yeah.
growing up.
in
we had the water
Louisiana?
moccasins.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
they
trying
were
to
they
get
were
those.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Those are the same thing as cottonmouth,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like snakes. Snakes are worse than spiders to me.
I mean, pick your poison. They're
Literally.
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You
I-
guys
bad
do not
news.
like these animals?
No,
not at
no.
all.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
Nick started this with being like, I don't really have phobias.
I know.
And he's like reacting
Now I'm
so
like-
Now
strong.
his hands are
I- I-
trembling
I-
as he
I-
brings
I-
his whiskey to his mouth.
Yeah. I need another. I need another glass of whiskey.
We'll be okay.
This is no. Yeah. So anyway, what the hell was the question?
I think
Do we,
we're validating that these exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, treat. How do we treat?
Oh, we
Okay.
treat with exposure therapy,
Yeah.
which James referenced and was like, that's got to be hard.
Lock them in
And
a box with
so-
spiders.
There's only one way.
Yeah, no, there's
It
not.
doesn't matter what the
We
phobia
gotta
is.
bury you
the
alive.
answer is lock them in a box with spiders.
There's a couple ways.
I'm scared of airplanes. Get in the box,
Yep.
bitch.
There are a couple
I
ways.
don't
of doing
love
this.
being locked in boxes with spiders
There's
either.
only one way out.
There's an ethical and an unethical way.
There's the way we should do it, and then there's the way we actually do it.
There's a technique called flooding. It's not very common, but essentially the idea is that if you got a fear of snakes, you just put the person in a room full of snakes
Ah,
and you flood them.
You
with
Indiana
that
Jones them.
venom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right. Ark of the
'Cause
Covenant.
The idea
Throw
is that
him in.
like you cannot stay at that elevated level of arousement for so long, right? Eventually, your body has to reset. You
Yeah, but
have
you
to
can't.
come back down.
I'm rock hard all
Right?
the time.
So the idea is with the
I think I'm
flooding.
done.
You glad to be here,
I think
Mattis?
that's enough.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Can I
gonna
leave
tap
now?
out. I'm gonna tap out. You guys have a good night.
Oh, we'll be bringing this up again.
Are we talking about Jim's penis?
Yes.
Okay.
So flooding. You
Maddie
put 'em-
has a phobia. And does not want to be flooded.
It's a very specific
She
phobia.
didn't when she came in here. Now she does.
You
But she
learn
just
a
didn't
lot on
realize
the
she had
podcast.
it.
Yeah.
Yep. This is where we learn.
So you put them in a room. They just have to deal with the stimulus until
Right.
their body kind of.
And we don't put them in actual danger. And that, by
Right.
the way, is an extreme
Yeah,
version.
no
of
one
it.
does
Yeah,
that.
Nobody
that
does
I'm aware of.
Exposure
Systematic
therapy.
desensitization.
That's it. Yeah, we do it very incrementally. And so let's say somebody did come in and said, I actually want treatment for a specific phobia. This is actually pretty rare. And what James said is correct. This is actually the most common like anxiety-related disorder with like 8 to 12% of the population having it. But the problem is, or I guess what's interesting about it, it doesn't get treated a ton because it doesn't cause typically one of the factors of it is a clinically significant amount of distress. You don't usually see that because phobias mostly can be avoided. Like if somebody has a huge like reaction to spiders, it's seen as comedic in the moment, right? It's like, oh, well, Nick sure doesn't like spiders, and you should have seen it. Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, he can live a lot of his life really just avoiding that.
I have an example.
Okay.
My mom is claustrophobic.
Okay, yeah.
She's never gone to therapy.
Terrified of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
She, but like, she
Stay in school, kid. You'll learn all about this.
She's just adjusted her life towards avoidance.
Right.
And I think that's the most common way that people deal with phobias is avoidance. And so if you do it correctly, it never becomes an issue. It never comes an issue again. Because you never do anything.
You just never dealt with it.
Mom will not get into an elevator.
Right.
She absolutely will not get into an elevator. She won't get on a plane.
She'll take the stairs, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's a healthy choice. You can just take the stairs.
She won't get on a plane.
It's 30 floors up.
I'll take the stairs.
She'll walk it.
Yeah. I'm not in a hurry.
Or she just won't go. Like, what's so important that's up there?
Fuck you, lawyer's office.
Yeah. I don't need to go up there.
Yeah, so it rarely gets addressed until it's something like you needed to fly across the country and there's a really good reason for this or whatever, or your whole family's doing something and you can't do it. It usually takes the juxtaposition of the scenario over and over again before anybody even usually gets help. So very rarely do people, even though you heard that list that Jacob read, it is rare that we hear somebody come in and say, I'm here because I need to deal with my fear of spiders. You probably don't. Practically, you could probably get through your whole life. So it's very common, but when we do treat it, and occasionally you do, ideally, so like when we say exposure therapy, that doesn't mean Jim's going to go to a pet store and we're going to buy a tarantula and bring it back to my office and we're going to slowly do this. I don't have time for that. Insurance doesn't cover that, and that's not how we're going to do it. What we will do is we'll give people small tasks, like going to a pet store, or going to, let's say, a museum, or going to a website, and just watching a video that is not meant to be scary, that's like a documentary, and it's like, hey, today we're going to teach you about arachnids, and here's what they do, and here's just pictures of them. We start with those incremental small exposures, and we're going for delayed reaction processing. So we want the person to see and experience the stimuli, and then from that to walk it back and like just kind of cognitively reframe what they're experiencing, calm, safe place, similar techniques to what we're doing with anxiety or OCD, but obviously in a very targeted way.
So I've seen this before where, so if you look at anxiety, if you put your anxiety on a scale, right? So you go from like, say 10 is the highest and then 0 is calm.
Yeah.
Systematic desensitization is we are going to intentionally increase your anxiety while also teaching you grounding techniques and coping skills.
Right. We don't just throw you in the deep water. We prep for this.
You learn how to bring it down and then you step it up. So like, all right, so for right now, first thing we're going to do is we're not going to go to where the spiders are. We're not going to look at spiders. We're not going to look at pictures of spiders. I just want you to think about a spider.
Right.
We're going to allow yourself to go up to a 2, and then we're going to work on bringing you back down to a 0.
With these grounding techniques, reframing skills.
So you practice that several times until now a 2 is no longer fearful for you because you know that you can get to a 2 and you have control and you can bring it back down to 0. Cool. So now let's go up to a 3.
Right.
And then you just kind of systematically continue to do that while also teaching these techniques.
And now get in the box.
And then we push you in the box and then Uma Thurman your ass right to the bottom. So more often, instead of it being a spider scenario, it's most likely going to be something like flying. That seems to be the one that it's problematic enough.
Well, that is
an issue.
If you need to travel, that is a big inconvenience.
It becomes an issue. Or another one is, and we do the same process with agoraphobia to some extent.
Yeah.
Which you didn't ask about, so I won't go into that direction. But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought this up. We really haven't had very many questions about specific phobias. So, also, interesting piece of trivia. The thing you are afraid of is called a phobic stimulus.
Right on.
There you go.
All right.
There you go,
Another
everybody.
interesting piece of trivia.
We've all learned
Water is
something
the most
today.
popular drink
Yes.
in the world.
Thank you for that.
I like having you here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is cathartic.
We all do.
I don't have to do nearly all the heavy
I
lifting.
know.
Sure is great. Sure am glad you're here. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about your therapist ditching you to go on maternity leave. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben Dunn, Malia, Richard Macy, Newstick, Polygon, University Jeff, Samantha Cone, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, and Sad Boy. And if you would like to become a sponsor of the show, head on over to patreon.com/therapy and sign up to be a producer. All right, our trivia this week, since it's Christmas, holiday traditions around the world.
Like Christmas.
Orgy, final answer.
Oh, he got there first.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whoever gets there first ruins the orgy.
It's not a race.
All right,
It's a marathon.
real or fake?
All right.
Okay. Hiding the broom in Norway. Some Norwegians believe witches and evil spirits roam the night sky on Christmas Eve. So out of abundance of caution, they hide all the brooms in their houses to prevent any witches from getting their hands on them.
Uh-huh.
Real.
You think that's real?
Real.
What are you going with, Maddie?
I actually just learned that is real today because I was doing the Yum Box with the kids and
Yeah. Go on.
with the kids, and we opened Christmas treats from around the world, and that was one of them that they discussed that in. I don't know if it was Norway though.
Oh, Nick could be full of shit.
So that might-
Could be.
Do you remember what the treat was? Did it seem Scandinavian?
Yeah.
Did it taste like socialism?
It was a fish.
And a better reading level?
It was a salted fish.
I can't remember
Just
what it was.
salmon.
Yeah.
All right, so you're both going real.
Yeah, that they don't celebrate Santa Claus. They celebrate witches that
That seems
deliver
fucking
goodies
weird.
and bad things
All
for
right.
bad kids or something.
Okay, you're very persuasive, and that sounds correct.
Or,
I'm going with false. And here's why.
okay.
Because the witches shit is from Boston or whatever. That's where they killed the witches. I've seen Hocus Pocus.
Your logic is solid.
It's from Salem,
going.
not Scandinavia.
You're
and
right.
2, they're the people that did Santa Claus. They're not going to fucking abandon that and make it about witches and shit. They're the literal North Pole. That's
Okay.
Santa Claus.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Incorrect.
It is obviously true.
Really?
Yeah, it's real. I don't.
Man.
She told you. She
She
gave
explained
you
it
the
to
answer.
you.
I wasn't
Jim.
sure if it was Norway, but I did.
Look, guys, she's full of shit a
I
lot
mean,
of the time.
I was like-
she says a lot of shit.
As she was talking, I was like, Maddie, shut up.
I'm
But
so
then
sorry.
I was like,
Give
no,
her the
but then I was
answer
like,
right.
Even
I was
better.
like,
But then it
no,
worked.
I stopped because I was like, it's not gonna matter.
Look, my logic made sense too. Okay,
It didn't though, because
we can all just have facts.
Saint
you know?
Nicholas wasn't from Scandinavia. He's from Turkey.
What?
That's why he's gobbling all those cookies down.
Hell, but really, the turkey
Yes.
thing?
Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
Turkey.
I mean, I didn't have a religious degree, but
Isn't Turkey in the Middle East?
it's north of the Middle East.
The northern east?
There you go.
The north central?
Sure.
Is there another question?
No, let's move
Shit.
on.
That was it?
Well, there's more in the next one.
We
But
all
yeah.
learned something, and I'm sad about it. My therapist going
Maddie
on
and I learned
maternity
something.
leave from Anonymous. Hi, all. Before I get into my question, here's a quick backstory that may or may not be helpful. I finally started seeing a therapist about 1.5 years ago. My primary concerns at the time were feelings of depression, self-esteem issues, and relationship issues. Specifically, I have a very difficult time with emotional intimacy and vulnerability, so all my relationships feel really stunted. I had thought about going to therapy for years, but I was overwhelmed and intimidated by the idea of sitting down with a stranger and opening up to them about my most personal aspects of my life. Like most people, I really struggled during the COVID lockdowns. A lot of the coping mechanisms I had developed for myself weren't working and or available. So I realized I needed to start working with a professional. Quick side note here, this podcast was one of the resources I used to help calm my fears surrounding therapy. I credit you guys with giving me the push I needed to reach out to a therapist. So thanks so much for all you do and for the people like me. End of side note. Since I started working with my therapist, I've made progress on the issues I needed to address. And overall, I've been feeling much better. That said, I know this is a slow process, and I still have a long way to go. Now, for the reason I'm writing to you guys. A few months ago, my therapist told me that she is pregnant. She's due at the end of January, and will be taking about 3 months for maternity leave. When we talked about what that would mean for my treatment, she told me there isn't anyone who will be taking over all of her patients. She said I'll be able to meet with someone if something comes up, but otherwise I won't have any sessions until she returns. For context, we currently meet every other week, so we'd be missing about 6 sessions in total. I'm nervous about this. I obviously understand that she deserves to take the time to be with her family. However, I rely on her to hold me accountable each session, and I'm worried that while she's out, I'll lose a lot of the progress that I've made. As I've mentioned, I have a hard time opening up to people, and I've just recently made it to a point where I'm able to talk honestly with my therapist about some important but really personal issues. I'm struggling with the idea of meeting with whoever will be filling in for her, since I don't know who they are and don't have any sort of relationship with them. I know that, even if something major does come up, I'm going to be hesitant to reach out to whoever this person is. I'm not sure what to do. I've thought about switching to a different therapist, as I had played with this idea even before I knew my therapist would be out for a few months, but I ultimately decided to stay with her because we were making progress, and I didn't want to start all over with somebody new. It feels unfair and kind of rash to switch now, since I would feel like I'm punishing her for taking her maternity leave. Other than talking to her about my concerns, which I do plan on doing, do you have any suggestions on how I can handle the situation? Thanks again for all you do, Lila. Pronouns are she and her.
All right. Well, thank you, Lila. I'm glad the show has been helpful for you. That means a lot.
That's
so
one. We
appreciate
got
it.
one. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Put one in the bank.
We've
We should have a chalkboard.
We've helped one person today.
One tally.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So if I understand this correctly, we've got therapist is going on maternity leave.
Yep.
We got somebody who is kind of filling in.
Yeah. Here's the
Okay.
emergency number.
All right. Okay. So
I'm gonna mix
is
this
it just
whiskey and the orange stuff.
Oh.
All
right.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Now is it just for emergencies, or is this like going to be a regular thing?
That was a terrible idea, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I did.
Yeah.
I think I ruined both.
Seems like it would have been a bad idea.
I think I just made two.
Everybody
good
who's
things,
surprised,
two
raise
bad
your hand.
things. I'm
Yep.
sorry. I regret
Was that
it.
scotch?
It is.
Oh, dude,
And
that's just
basically
like
vanilla
offensive.
bubblegum orange Fanta. Yeah.
Okay.
Some
Anyway,
people call me an innovator.
so here's
No, they don't.
here's the thing that I would probably focus on is kind of changing your perspective about what this means, or how you're going to use this person, because you talked about your fear of, was it 6 weeks that you're going to lose all of this progress.
Right.
I don't think you're going to. I don't think therapy is like that, where if you stop doing it, you just regress. I think there is regression that happens sometimes, but I don't think it's because people stop going necessarily.
Right.
I think it's because they stop working on stuff. So I think you can continue working on working on the things that your therapist has given you to work on and to practice all of these skills. I think your fear of sliding backwards might be a little bit more. You've maybe made it a little bit more than what it really is. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. However, I think a healthy approach to deal with this is to cognitively reframe this, and maybe just to look at this as this new person who's filling in is just kind of a maintenance person, right? So, yeah, maybe you're not going to make leaps and bounds progress while your therapist is gone, but maybe it's just kind of a maintenance thing where you can kind of keep your skills up to date, and they're just going to be checking in on you, and you're going to continue to practice things that may keep you from sliding back. So we're no longer focusing on like continuing progression up to the next step, but maybe we're just going to focus on maintaining where you're at right now and keep you from sliding back. Yeah. So maybe you can kind of reframe it that way.
I think that's a fair reframe. But, to what the writer's talking about here, Lila, and Maddie, you and I were just talking about this. Like, we were talking about just the profession of mental health and how it does get interrupted a lot. And this is something that a lot of people have written into the show about, is they start working with a student therapist, right? And that student therapist is not going to be there forever. They're only completing a little tour of duty, and then they're done. Tour of duty. And then after that, whenever they graduate and then they go to their licensed internship, again, a lot of times they are moving from different agencies. They are trying to finish out their hours, and they're going to take a next step in their career. And so there are going to be patients that just started with somebody that are making progress with somebody, and then they have an interruption in care, or the situation with the maternity leave. So I guess, Lila, one thing that I want to relate to here is just this isn't uncommon. And that is really frustrating. And one of the things that makes mental health different than other forms of healthcare is how individual and how intimate it is. If you go to your local doctor's office and you go see Dr. Samantha every time you go in there, and then one day you go in, because you have an itchy throat, and they say, "Oh, Dr. Samantha's not here today. I'm physician's assistant Todd. I work with Dr. Samantha. How can I help you?" That's fine. You don't need to pick up where you left off with Dr. Samantha every time you go in. And most of healthcare, that is the deal. You may very rarely develop like a good relationship with a specialist that you have to see regularly for like a chronic condition. But more often, even in those situations, the next professional can just read your chart and pass the baton and just like get you a little bit further along. Therapy does kind of have a starting over power to it. Because if you do sit down with, like, let's say Nick and I run a practice together and I'm out of town, first, I can't just go to all my patients and be like, "Hey, everybody, I'm leaving for 3 months. This is my colleague, Nick. He works with me. You can go ahead and schedule with him." You can't, because Nick has a full caseload. You can't just magically now absorb an entire other clinician's caseload. That can't happen. So the next best thing is I can say, okay, if you do have an emergency, this is my colleague, Nick. He's part of my practice. Reach out to him and he will follow up with you. That's like the best I can do. And honestly, in that situation, then Nick would step up to that, or whoever my designated, person is, which, by the way, that is the appropriate practice for maternity leave. When that happens, we do tell people, okay, when you go on a leave like this, or a leave of absence or a sabbatical or whatever, the appropriate thing is to try to make referrals for those patients that you feel can't go this long without any therapist, or give them an emergency contact. But you inherently can't replace yourself. You can't just tell them, "Come on into the clinic. The next person will show up and grab the baton and carry it to the next week." It's way too personal. You can't do that.
My understanding of what Lila said was that her therapist did not refer her, but
Right.
gave her kind of like if this is an emergency, you can contact this person.
That's all she got.
But she didn't give her any sort of replacement, like,
Doesn't sound like
colleague, here's some options for you,
Mhm.
which I feel
That's
like kind
hard.
of left her hanging.
Yeah.
If she doesn't feel like she's in a place to be okay for that 6 weeks, I think her therapist should have given her some referrals.
Which
But
I'm
she did
glad that
mention
she might bring up.
she mentioned that she's going to talk to her therapist about this. I bet your therapist is going to have a good answer.
If you bring this up,
For
yeah,
referrals?
that's the thing. Like,
Yeah,
I agree
if
with-
you say, like, I feel like I really need
Yeah.
to have someone here to be a bridge,
right,
I bet your therapist is going to have
yeah,
a better
an
answer
emergency
than
contact
yeah,
doesn't float for me.
Exactly.
I think I'd like to kind of keep it going.
Yeah.
But this does happen. There's an interference in care. You're working with somebody, you're making good progress.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because 3 months is a long freaking time. I mean,
But also
it's a season.
the writer said in their letter, they had thought about this before and didn't want to start over.
Right,
So I mean that reason is still there, writer.
right.
I mean you still have that to keep to kind of like, if it was a good enough reason to not start over with another therapist before, I think it's probably still a good enough reason not to now.
Right.
I agree with that logic. And another thing too, because like if you're hearing this question, you're out there and thinking, man, that doesn't sound appropriate. Well, first off, put yourself in our shoes, listener. Like, we don't have a lot of resources to give this person. There's only one of us. Therapy is very intimate. It's not a team effort at the level 1 outpatient level. You're just meeting with me. If we're working at a rehab, like when Nick and I worked at inpatient, it would happen where we'd have somebody go on vacation and they'd be like, "Hey, everybody, I'm leaving to go to this wedding. I'll be gone for a week." And your patient is with you in the program for 30 days. So you're going to miss 1/4 of their treatment. And in that situation, one of the other therapists on staff really would step up and we would do a warm handoff. But you've also met that therapist. It's
Yeah.
not the first time you're sitting
Yeah.
down with Nick. If Nick's taking over your case, he's like, "Hey, what's up? I saw you in group this morning. You see me every Tuesday. I'm gonna take over your one-on-ones while your primary therapist is gone." And that does work in that environment. But in this outpatient situation, Lila, it isn't common that we have another person to hand you off to. But I agree with your point, Maddie, that it's like, okay, then that conversation should be had. Then you probably should bring it up and say, "This doesn't work for me. I really want a referral." You and I have a colleague who we actually worked with at the rehab, who went into outpatient and has had a successful outpatient practice. And this year, she got pregnant and went through this whole, like, preparing for her maternity leave. And I liked how she did it because she reached out to me. Even though I'm a competing private practice, like we don't work together in any sense. We're not in the same building at all. But she has a group of therapists that she knows and trusts. And so she reached out to each of us and said, hey, I'm going on maternity. I would like to kind of write a little summary about you and give that to my patients as sort of a list of options that they might consider switching to. And obviously she's taking a big risk, right? She's considering letting go of her private practice temporarily. That is very hard to do. And then you can bounce back from it, but you can't expect that's going to happen very quickly.
Yeah.
But, I thought that was very ethical, how she put that together. And so I said, yeah, if you have anybody that wants to come to me, just tell them to mention you. That way I can mentally know that. And then just have them sign a release of information. Are you going to be available for your colleagues to reach out to you just to get any notes or any support or anything you want? And she said, yeah, that's part of what I'm going to do free of charge. That's part of how I'm going to just do good client care. And I thought that was a really good way to do it. But the pain is sort of inevitable here. I mean, she's going on maternity leave, Lila, and you're not wrong for being upset about that, and she's not wrong for going on maternity leave.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that we just kind of have to do our best and deal with.
But interruptions in mental health care are really common.
Yeah, it's definitely common. I agree. I kind of like that. And I also agree with Jacob, too. I think most likely what your therapist is probably doing is your therapist is probably giving everybody the same information to start with.
Right.
And then we'll piece everything together and have that discussion with each individual client. Like, are you okay with just using this emergency list, or do you want me to assertively connect you with somebody?
Right.
And if that's the case and you get connected with somebody temporarily, just remember that the therapist that you know and love was once a stranger.
Right.
The same
Good
as
point.
the new person that you're going to be meeting. So keep an open mind about that too.
Gosh, 3 months feels like a long time. Because part of me wants to say maybe we could do some supplemental support groups. Like maybe we go to NAMI or like try to do some kind of like group work in the meantime. And maybe that could be like a good placeholder, which isn't crazy, but 3 months, man. It's a long time. You know, 6 sessions.
I'd be interested to hear how they do this in other countries. European countries where they have like long maternity leave.
Oh yeah. I tell you what I would do with it if it were me, and this may not work for you at all, but I would look at it as almost a challenge. I would look at it and say, let me, because this is kind of training wheels for not having your therapist around, which there are going to be times in your life when you don't have access to this therapist, and so and you're going to have that therapist back,
right?
So you know that this is a temporary situation, and like I say, that mindset might not work for you at all.
Yeah.
But if it were me, I would look at it as an opportunity to try something new.
That's
your
good.
only
Give
real
them a
option.
candy bar.
Oh,
That was
okay.
really
A
good.
European one?
Yes, a European one.
Yeah, okay.
Throw
Well,
him a
that's-
candy bar.
that sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea. All right, I'm going to
great
throw
idea.
you a malt
Oh, good. Those are the ones I like. Yeah, throw one of those.
reindeer.
There you go.
Reindeer pops.
Good work, Jacob.
Yeah.
Maddie, any
good
final
puppy.
thoughts or observations on this one?
Well, if her fear is starting over with a new therapist for 3 months, and if she's new to therapy and doesn't feel confident in her ability to stand on her own 2 feet without a little bit of extra help from a counselor, then I think she should try to get out there and get on Psychology Today and try to find somebody else to fill in.
Right.
And there's no shame in speed dating therapists. Like, I spent the last year speed dating therapists, and maybe if you've got a smaller window, like 3 months before the next person comes
Right.
back, that's different. But I think it's okay to not connect with somebody after, maybe let's just say the first session isn't great. Go to the second one just to make sure.
Yeah.
But if you need to find somebody else and it takes a few runs, like, do it. It's worth it. Even if by the end of it, you've only got a month left before she comes back, I think it's important to get the help that you need.
It was a productive month, I guess. Even if you're just like speed dating therapists, like, okay, every 2 weeks I'm going to try a new therapist.
Yeah, sure. And,
and
you're
6
bound
different
to
therapists.
pick up some
Right.
bits of knowledge from these people that
That's-
maybe you
And
didn't
I
fully
think
connect.
cool.
And I
but-
think be open with those therapists about what you're doing
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, tell them, my therapist's on maternity leave. Just
Yeah.
explain the situation to them.
This is a one night thing for me.
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't. We're not
I think
going to
that's
keep
fine.
doing this. It's very casual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get attached. I just one and done for me, please. My real shrink's coming back, so this is.
And who knows? Maybe you can
phase.
parlay that shit into a 3-way. Open mind, people.
You're right.
Oh, man, this show is fantastic. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about giving advice to a future psychologist. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben Dawn, Malia, Richard Macy, New Stick, Polygon, University Jeff, Samantha Cohn, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, and Sad Boy. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Real or fake?
Oh, here we go.
Holiday traditions around the world.
Let's hear it.
In an old Ukrainian tale, a poor family grew a Christmas tree from a pine cone. The children were excited to decorate it, but the family couldn't afford any decorations. Sensing the family's despair, spiders spun glistening silk webs around the tree, which turned into silver and gold when the sun rose in the morning, leaving the family with a beautiful adorned tree. To this day, families in Ukraine decorate their trees with spider webs for good luck.
No, 0%.
Jim, you're up first.
No, it's false. That's dumb, and the Ukrainian people deserve more respect, in my opinion. How dare you, sir?
Oh, okay.
You're an agent of Putin, and I'll have none of it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Maddie, you got a guess on this one?
I know this one too.
What the fuck?
I
learned a
go
lot
last.
from these nutrient boxes.
Okay, I know I have heard this before. I know that I've heard this before. So I know this is a real thing.
What the shit?
The only thing that I don't know is if it's Ukrainian. I don't know where it is, but I know that it is real.
Spider fucking land. This is
And so this
dumb.
is only, did Nick change a single detail in this?
That would be a Nick thing to do.
It would be. It would be.
He's too lazy to make up an entire fiction.
I'm
so
gonna
to get
say-
a false, he'll just take a real story
I'm
and
going to say
change
still
the detail.
real.
Okay.
I'm going to say that it is Ukraine that does this.
All right, Maddie, why do you know this, and what's the real answer?
Again, the Yum Box.
Goddamn Yum Boxes.
I also watched a Hallmark Christmas movie where this exact thing happened, and they decorated somebody's tree because they were from Ukraine.
Is it one of those cheesy
It was
romance
covered with
movies?
spider- Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
God. And there was a Ukrainian spider in it?
The spider webs on the tree
That
is
doesn't
a
sound
thing.
very romantic.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay, so I think that is 2-0.
God damn it. I'm not wrong. Okay, I might be wrong
No,
factually.
I think by definition you are wrong.
I'm not wrong emotionally. I think the people are with me on this. Everybody agrees that's dumb. Spiders decorating trees and cheesy Hallmark movies.
Okay, and I'm the one insulting the Ukrainian people?
They've been through a lot, Nick.
Jim,
You
name
just said the tradition was dumb.
No, you made me say that.
Jim, name a country that borders Ukraine.
Russia, bitches, suck a dick.
Okay.
Yeah, I got one. Woohoo! I know no.
Every once in a while, you got to lob one to him
You
to
gotta
see if he
toss
even knows
him a
that.
softball. Make sure he still knows the moon orbits the Earth. I got Russia. I don't know any of the other ones, but I know Russia.
Moldova.
Oh, you know what?
Belarus.
Belarus.
Yeah.
I remember that from watching The Invasion, as they were coming in
All
from
right.
Belarus. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, what's Belarus? And because it kind of sounded like Russia, Belarus. So
There you go.
I don't know much more about that, but
Cool.
All right, thank you, everybody. I feel like we've all grown as people. Advice for future psychologist. Hello. Along with
Find
many,
a different profession.
Find a different profession. Go into
Advice
anything
over.
else. Hi. Along with many others, I am a big fan of your show, and I like the content that you guys are putting out. I know you guys have gone over what I'm about to ask, but I don't want to try to look through all the episodes to find the information.
Fair.
I'm interested in studying the field of psychology and was wondering what you would suggest I do to become the best psychologist I can be. I've already taken a general psych and abnormal psych class and plan to take more classes this spring. What are the best areas I should study now to get ahead of the game? What critical knowledge should I obtain to have a foot in the door? What are the minimum requirements of what you look for in any employee in this field? I've had 2 years to mull over if I want to go to college and get a degree. Psychology and everything with it has always interested me, and I'm always excited to learn more. I think it'd be a great way for me to help people, even though I'm not exactly sure which area I want to specialize in. Any advice would help. Thank you, Anonymous.
Okay.
How perfect. We have a recent psychology graduate
Does
here.
not
who's
mean I know
about to go
anything.
to grad school.
I don't know.
Well, now, did you get a degree in psychology?
No.
Your degree was in family...
Family and human development.
yeah.
It's like psychology light.
Okay.
Or psychology specific.
It was, yeah. It was
Yeah,
very
because if
specific.
you're taking general psych classes, that's not going to prepare you for therapy more than that
True.
would.
So I guess that's probably the number one thing we should point out for our writer here is that psychology is very broad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that kind of fall into that area. Now, like I have a bachelor's in psychology. You don't have to get that. So if you want to get into the helping profession, you could do psychology. You can get a bachelor's degree in social work. You can get a bachelor's degree in
Family and human development.
Family and
I'm never going to remember that.
No,
It's a lot of work.
it's made up.
Yeah.
What's
They
the
all
acronym?
are. Mine was in
Yeah, that's
religion,
all.
so I'm pretty sure I have the
Yeah.
basement of all of us.
Mine just
here.
focuses on the life stages of development and
Yeah.
like
So I mean the thing that
Piaget, a lot of Piaget.
yes, yeah, a lot
the
of
thing
Piaget.
that I liked about psychology is that it was very broad. Because I think if you're going to get into actually providing therapy, most likely you're going to have to go and get your master's degree.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get like some graduate work done. And then that's really where you're going to find your specialization.
Yeah.
So your bachelor's degree is not really as important. I think your bachelor's degree helps you get a good foundation and it
Yeah.
helps you apply to graduate schools.
Right.
So you can do that. I like a lot of my classmates I know had different bachelor's degrees. I had one
Colleague.
classmate of mine actually had a master's in divinity
Oh wow.
and then went into get her master's in social work.
Interesting.
But I did psychology, and for me, psychology was very helpful. We actually talked about this in the last episode because in psychology, I did a lot of research. So I had research methods, I had research experience, I had experience with statistics, all of that stuff, and all of that was very helpful when applying to graduate school.
Yeah.
It helped me, I think, a lot get into actually graduate school. So I think that was very helpful. Also, the thing with psychology is it's very broad, right?
Yeah.
So you can do the abnormal psych. I had a class in that. I had a class in psychology of gender differences. I had a class in...
Did you take psychology of sexuality?
No.
A lot of
I
places
did not
offer
take that one.
It's a really good one.
Sensation and perception. That was a fun class.
Oh,
I
neat.
loved that one. And then, like I said, like a lot of the research stuff, that prepares you for, conducting an experiment and how do you analyze your results? How do you put that together? How do you write a paper? And
Right.
all that. How do you submit for publishing and all that stuff? So that was all very helpful. So I don't think it matters so much for the bachelor's piece.
Right.
My recommendation would be psychology just because it covers so many bases. It's very broad.
It is pretty broad.
But I don't think it really matters that much.
So in a moment, Maddie, I want to ask you about which classes you took that you felt like that was useful, right? Because this person's brand new. They're just starting college. They're declaring a major, and they're starting to mentally think, ooh, I think I'd like to go to grad school, but now I'm looking at the catalog. What is useful? So as somebody that's finishing up a bachelor's program, it's useful to kind of learn from you, like, oh, what did you enjoy? But before I ask you that, I want to come back to you, Nick, because one of the things that the writer asks here is, when you are going to hire somebody, what are you looking for? And
A master's degree.
Well, okay, yes, obviously that's the that's
honestly,
the minimum. But there's more to
yeah.
that, right? So like you and I would explain to the writer, hey, we're going to hire people at a graduate level, right? They've already finished their program. So the writer will learn that as the writer starts to pursue the profession. But there is, I think, a good question here that would reach a wider audience of like, so you guys have been in a position to hire a new therapist. I am currently interviewing and searching for a new therapist. What qualities are we looking for? What things stand out to us?
Never worked for Jim Jobin and
Don't ever,
Associates.
as long as you don't have my name on your resume,
doing fine.
you're usually fine. But what qualities are we looking for that when we survey the field and we look at candidates, what stands out that we say, oh, that's a real good professional. That one, I think that one's really got it together. Because I hear this person saying, hey, I'm ambitious. Once I get out there, I want to make sure that I've equipped myself and I'm presenting myself as a pretty good professional. What can I do? And you and I have both in positions to hire that. And we probably have different flavors and different preferences that we're looking for. I am going through the interviewing process right now. And man, I got to tell you, and I kind of ranted about this on the Discord, buddy, it's bad. It's real bad out there. I'm really discouraged. So like, and like, I don't want to shit on the whole field, but I'm about to. It's pretty tough, man. So like, I'm going through resumes, and like the resumes are fine. I'm looking for, and I don't mind hiring a fully licensed professional or an intern, state licensed intern. So I'm not taking students. And I have very different standards for what I'm looking for in each of those. If I'm hiring an intern, I want to see experience with broad populations. I don't, if you have a little niche position and you've never left your little hut of like just serving one population, I'm scared because I don't think you've done enough. And that scares me as an outpatient because I want to know that if an adult comes to see you, you've got this. If a kid comes to see you, you've got this. You've worked with diverse populations. That's nice to see. And so I kind of want to see multiple job sites throughout internship instead of just one. Actually look for that. If I'm looking for a fully licensed professional, then I kind of have a different worldview about it because I want to see stability now. Now I don't want to see that you're hopping around every 2 weeks because you don't get along with your clinical director or whatever. I want to see some kind of like, you know, you're a career builder. That's really important. But what's crazy is the resumes have been fine. We get to the interview phase. And buddy, I've been shocked about what's going on. I've got people that are straight up ghosting me. And they're applying for these positions. I'm like, okay, great. And then I start messaging them and I'm like, hey, let's set up an interview. Psh, gone. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I'll follow up with them and go, hey. And it's not like I'm messaging 20 people. Like, it's a very specialized task.
Did you not see the latest Best of Las Vegas?
Yeah, thank you. Hello. I have a shot glass. And so, like, I'm trying to get there. I'm like, what the heck?
This is when Jim finds out that all the applicants have just been me with different email addresses.
I have suspected it, honestly. Because I had another person scheduled the interview. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you so much. Great. We get to the no-shows. Just no-shows the interview. And I'm like, what is going on? And so, like, I'm reaching out to them. I'm calling them. I'm trying, what the hell? And, like, nothing. Then I get a text from them 20 minutes past the start time of the interview. I'm sorry, I'm not coming. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm like, dude, this isn't a fucking McDonald's job. Like, there's only so many therapists in this town. I'm going to remember your fucking name.
Well,
like,
not only
what
that,
the hell?
but like, this is. Here's the thing for the writer. Here's what you need to understand. I don't know what it's like in your community, but this is Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Metro area, population of what, 2 million?
About 2 million.
2 million. This is a small community.
Yeah, it is. In every industry.
We all know each other.
Yeah, we've met.
Okay? And so, like, in a city of 2 million people,
so fucking dumb.
We know each other and we talk.
Yeah, man.
You cannot do that.
You cannot no-show when I know your name. Like,
you can't.
I know who your supervisor is. What is
so
this?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Whenever I start doing the preliminary questions, and if they're an intern, I'll say, who's your supervisor, who's your primary, secondary? Just to double check, who are they answering to? Do I know and respect that person? And I always do, you know, because it's supervisor level. They know what they're doing. But, like, I also know who your supervisors are. We cleared that hurdle together before you fucking no-showed me at the interview process. Then I get to a couple of interviews. Brother, they're just coming in T-shirt and jeans. And I'm looking at them like...
Maybe you should look at that a different way, Jim.
Yeah.
Maybe you should reframe that.
Yeah.
And just say, oh, I'm so happy that I make you comfortable enough to come to this interview wearing a T-shirt and jeans.
I'm getting life coached up in this bitch. That's what's just happening.
That's what's
right
happening
now.
to you right now, buddy.
Do you want a business card? I have a business card.
Oh, no, he doesn't need the business card. He has other things. The business card is not necessary.
All right, so here's what I look for. Yeah, that is discouraging.
It's really discouraging, man. And I'm just
also,
staring at him like, what? Oh, here's the other thing that pissed me off. So, like, obviously, I'm an outpatient. I tell them this is the ad says his private practice, you know, the whole business. I put all my information in the ad. I don't hide it. I'm like, hey, it's Jim. This is my practice. Here's my website. Blah blah blah. The two, or I've done several, but the interviews that I've done, not dressed for this. I'm like, this is a job interview. Like, what the hell do you think this is? And then I'll ask them. So before we begin, why don't you tell me what you already know about my practice? And then I'll take it from there. I'll fill in the blanks and tell you more things that I want you to know about my practice. In every case,
they're like, I don't know.
The candidate's like, oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, you didn't Google it? You didn't Google it before you walked in here? You didn't fucking Google it?
No. And that's
like, really?
Did you read Dad Advice?
Have you not read Dad Advice?
Dad
50
Advice?
Fatherly life lessons? Do you not want the job?
But I'm not a father. I'm not.
This is only written for fathers.
No, I had a coworker once that used to do this, and she had, she was brave.
Yeah.
And I've never, I've always thought about doing this, but I just don't have the commitment to do it. But she literally would just be like, very first question, all right, what do you know about our organization?
Yeah.
And if they said nothing, she would say, all right, thanks for coming in.
Oh.
And would just end it right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
When I'm interviewing someone, I expect them to have a passing knowledge about what I'm being interviewing for.
Yeah.
Why are we doing
I mean,
this?
when
you haven't even looked into it?
The problem is your website doesn't have an apply now button on the website.
This is true. If I put it there, then they would find it.
Also, I already would have applied.
That's oh god. If I get an Indeed resume from Jacob,
you're hiring him.
I'm gonna do it just so he hangs out with me. I'm like, yeah, no interview scheduled.
I'm not
at
filling
Red
out
Lobster.
a resume. I'm definitely not filling out a resume.
No, but
it's a dinner interview.
The organization that you and I once worked for, when I came in for the interview, I actually flew in from Iowa.
Oh, okay.
To come in and do
yeah.
no, one of the two.
Yeah, the first one.
No, not that one.
Oh, really?
I interviewed at the other place first.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's right.
I interviewed, yeah. And so
we've worked at 3 places together.
Yeah. I flew in for that interview. I had with me the book that the doctor wrote.
Oh, damn.
I came in with the book.
Ready to go.
Yes.
And so read it on the plane.
So when I got to meet him and and he said, "Hi, I'm so and so." I said, "Hi, yeah, great to meet you." Yeah, I'm 6 chapters in your book.
Yes.
And thrilled.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. Like if you're, for God's sake, if you're going for an interview, research the place that you're going to interview for.
It's a joke.
Know a little bit about it. Know the services that they provide.
Minimum.
And you have to be able to, because your main job is to sell them on the idea of how easily you can fit into their system.
Yes.
And if you don't know what their system is, how do you make that argument?
Yes. What do you already know about us? Well, nothing. I haven't looked you up at all.
I expect that your organization is going to fit around me.
Me. Yeah.
No.
What? or to be so naive.
GTFO.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or to be so naive in this field to believe that, well, I'm a qualified therapist. That's the job, isn't it? It's like, dude, no. Like every clinic is treating different groups of people.
All right, so let me answer the question.
Yeah.
What do I look for? Number one, I'll tell you right now what I don't look at. I don't care where you went to college.
Yeah, me neither.
I really don't care what your bachelor's degree was in.
No, I don't care
I do look at what your master's degree is in because it tells me, not so much because I'm particular about certain degrees, but because it tells me a little bit about your scope of practice.
Yeah.
So what you can actually do in whichever state
but
you're
also,
in,
Ryder,
right?
that often doesn't matter because if you're an MFT, your master's is MFT.
Right.
If you're a social worker, your master's is social work.
Right.
It's rare that you have something that had an interesting title unless you ended up as a mental health counselor or a licensed professional counselor. If you go become a clinical psychologist, your doctorate is called clinical psychology.
Yeah. Now, what I'll look for mainly is I look for who have you worked with?
Yeah.
Because I know
Who
those
is your
people.
daddy? What does he do?
Oh, kindergarten cop. I say that to myself probably 3 times a week in the mirror while brushing my teeth. I'll just stop brushing my teeth and I'll look and say, who is your daddy and what does he do? And then I'll just start brushing my teeth again. 3 times a week minimum.
That's weird.
I have no idea why I do it.
That's weird. Pretty weird.
I'm glad you have that reference, though.
Pretty
That
weird.
thing is just an earworm. It lives in my head.
I look for who you've worked with. So, like, who are your supervisors, but also where have you worked? Who do I know at those places? Who do you have listed as your references? That's probably one of the biggest things I look for. I look for what experience that you have.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean paid experience.
No.
Could also be volunteer experience.
And student work.
Yeah.
Where you did your student practicum, I'm interested in
I
that.
also like to see what your interests are in the field.
Yeah, specialization.
Like, so I'm really interested in working with adolescents in foster care. I'm really interested in working with blah, 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 all of that stuff. That tells me a lot, too.
Yeah.
So I think those are kind of the biggest things. Explaining what your interests are, I think, is very important. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. None of this, I think, is relevant to where you're at right now. I think right now where you're at, you're just talking about, I need to get into school. Because here's the thing. You're going to be in school for a while.
Yeah.
And whatever you decide right now is your interest is going to change at least 3 times.
Yeah.
By the time you're done. Like when I my whole career, 18 years now has been in the treatment of substance use disorders. And I had zero interest in substance use when I finished my master's degree.
Yeah.
Not even in school.
Yeah.
Was I
after
even
school.
interested?
Yeah.
It was all after I graduated that I had any interest in it.
Yeah.
So you never know what your interest is going to be. You
Yeah.
just experiment with a lot of it. That's, again, why I like psychology. It's very broad. You get a big taste of a whole bunch of different things. You don't have to decide anything right now.
Right. But this actually goes back to undergrad programs, because with this particular writer, I like, if you can, sampling classes with different topics, because then that's how you taste and see to figure out what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Now, Maddie, for you, you picked a graduate program that specifically had a play therapy specialization to it.
Yeah, but with my undergrad, I really thought when I was going to school that I had to major in psychology if I wanted to be a counselor or a
Right.
therapist one day. And that was a problem because I was not academically successful and actually flunked out of college twice before I finally on the third time got it right and started actually making it work and studying. But I changed my major in between that from psychology to family. Oh my God, what is
Human
my
development?
What's
Human
my major?
resources? Math. Human people.
Family and
Change it
human
to
development.
math.
Change it
Yeah,
to-
family and human development. But I realized that it didn't matter. I didn't need to have a psychology degree. Psychology was a little bit more math intensive, and
Yeah.
I was not interested in that. I
Researchy.
literally took college mathematics and crossed that box off and just
Done
kept
forever.
going.
Yeah.
But all the other classes that Nick was talking about, research methods, what was the other ones? A lot of the psychology,
Cessation, perception,
abnormal
gender
psychology.
differences,
Abnormal
I
psych,
took all of those
yeah.
classes with my degree, so it all kind of crosses over quite a bit. Also, your electives, you can take a lot of I took counseling classes for electives because I had some room and that was just something I was interested in. But all of that kind of contributed to, the main goal, which was to get into a graduate program for counseling. So what I learned was that you don't have to major in something so specific like psychology. It's broad and that's helpful, but when I was looking at graduate school programs, I found that a lot of programs specifically say majoring in psychology or a related program or
Yeah.
related field.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I fell into that category, which a lot of people do. A lot of programs also are just we don't care what the hell you got your bachelor's degree in.
Oh, really? They're starting to broaden it out a little bit
Yeah,
more.
some of them. I mean, maybe not the great ones, but
Well, no,
Yeah.
not necessarily. I wouldn't look at that as a bad thing, necessarily.
yeah, the
No.
program that I'm in, it was as long as you have a bachelor's degree.
I'm fine
Yeah,
with
I
that.
mean,
because you're going to do the therapy
like-
work in your master's program.
So I went ahead and I talked to, when I was applying for graduate schools, I applied for, I went, my master's degree is at the same college that my bachelor's is in, which is very rare.
Mine is too.
Typically they want you to go to a different university. They want you to
Right.
experience it. It wasn't such a big deal for me because I was switching departments,
Right.
psychology to social work. So I actually went in to the social work department. I talked to the department head when I was applying, and because I just wanted to get some information, and I was like, okay, I'm a psychology student graduate. How's that going to affect me getting into social work? And he's like, actually, we kind of prefer that.
Okay.
It's a lot easier. We like you coming from a different philosophy.
Okay.
But then he also really kind of talked about, when we look at candidates, we look at, not so much what your undergraduate degree was in, but your interests again, and then what experiences you've had, what kind of research experience you've had,
Right.
what kind of other academic things that you've done, and things
Right.
like that. So they look
The
at the
broader-
whole broad thing.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not,
that's absolutely
it's not
true.
really specific.
So I think, writer, generally speaking, the things that you're doing now, I just want you to be exploratory. I don't want you to feel like putting a lot of pressure on yourself about exactly what classes or going to workshops or going to special trainings. Go do those things if it gets you excited about the field, if it keeps you pumped, if you can get hands-on experience while doing your schooling, that's huge. Like if you can go do maybe some Medicaid work as an associate or something like that, or work in the field, anything that kind of gets you more hands-on is ultimately going to be great information. You really can't go wrong. But on this point of grad schooling, since we've got you here, and since we all graduated a long time ago, so we don't know anything about this anymore, shopping for grad schools. difficult, easy? There's more of them than ever before.
Yeah.
But then maybe that makes it harder because
guess,
there's too many options.
Well, first you have to decide if you're comfortable doing a fully online program or if you prefer to do in person.
Okay.
My whole bachelor's degree was fully online, which I felt was great, and I was able to work full time and, kind of figure out schoolwork when it made sense for me. But for a master's program, I really wanted to be in person, and so that was important to me. So I looked for local programs that were in-person programs, but that also limited my options quite a bit because I had to go towards my city, and I wasn't interested in moving anywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that there's a lot out there, and I thought that this was going to be a really difficult process. I spent weeks agonizing over my personal statement and my interview and that whole process. But somebody had told me, like, graduate schools want you to be in their program just as much as you want them to choose you. Like,
that person sounds wise and handsome.
It might have been you. It might have been someone else.
It sounds like it was me.
It was Nick.
At the end of the day, this
sounds like someone would say.
This is a business, and they need to make money, and they need applicants, and you need a program. So like, you're not completely dependent on them. They, show up with your A game, but like, don't, make yourself
the other thing
sick over it.
Yeah, the other thing that's really important too, graduate schools want to know that you're going to finish the program.
Yes, yeah.
That was something that I didn't think about, but the department head, when I was talking to him, that's one of the things he said too, is he's like, if we get a sense that somebody is not fully committed to this, then we don't want them. Right. We want somebody who they demonstrate, yes, I'm here for the long haul. Yep. I will complete
washouts hurt the numbers. Yep. It hurts the matriculation rate. It hurts the GPA. And then that's also a potential negative review because that person's unhappy and they leave and go, I didn't like that school. It's like, well, the truth was you didn't like the profession, and you got involved. So that is something that they're kicking the tires
I caught a little bit of that from the interview that I was in. As somebody who took 11 years to finish my degree and stopped going to school twice before, and I could see if somebody were to look at my transcript and be like, there's some big gaps in here. What was that about? Are you going to do that to us? So right out the gate, I wanted to make it clear that I was at a very different chapter of my life now. I'm in my late 20s. I was in my early 20s, really unsure, really trying to work full time and just pay bills, and there wasn't a whole lot of room for school. Times are different now. Life looks different. I think I'm, a much better fit for this program now.
You've seen where your brother ended up. You don't want to end up there.
I now know how bad things can get.
I mean, if that guy can get best of Las Vegas,
anybody
can. She's been scared straight.
Yeah. That's how you fix it. We're getting old, man. We're getting really old. We're getting too old for this shit. What movie's that from?
I know it.
Lethal Weapon.
Also Kindergarten Cop.
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
It's
very
all from
good.
Kindergarten Cop.
Riggs. Oh, shit, Riggs. Great question, writer. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think that I don't want you stressing out at this phase. I want you exploring. And another great idea that you can do at this phase of your development is to, and I strongly recommend this. I can't believe it took me this long to even say it. I want you to get online. I want you to find a therapist in your area whose profile resonates with you. Something about them stands out to you, kind of like them. And I want you to reach out to them and ask if they would just have a Zoom meeting with you so that you could just ask them about their career and learn about them. That is one of the best things you can do, is to find somebody that you could see as a role model or just somebody that you want to learn from. Because at this stage, when you say, I'm interested in this, I'm not sure about this, meeting people in your area that are doing it professionally really answers questions, and it gives you that kind of like that placeholder of like, I could be that person, I could do this. That was a game changer for me, was to find a mentor, and that ultimately opened the door for me to get into the field. So strongly recommend.
There you go.
End of the show. Time for announcements. How about we fit this challenge into the beginning of the new year?
Excellent segue.
I'm really good at this.
I was just about to say,
yeah.
Okay, so there's still time. We've got until December 31st to sign up for the Pod Therapy Fitness Challenge.
Turn into a pumpkin.
Yes, it's $30. Go ahead, head on over to mentalfitpersonaltraining.com. Click on the link up at the top, which is the Pod Therapy Fitness Challenge. Sign up. It's 2 months. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of fun stuff. A lot of workouts. It's all going to be in-home workouts, so you don't need access to a gym.
You have to go to Nick's house.
And all of the workouts, they're all going to be modifiable. We can modify them to your skill level. So if there's stuff that you can't do, there's going to be easier versions of it. And if it's too easy, don't worry. Don't worry, little grasshoppers.
That's right.
Don't worry at all. I'll make it difficult for you.
Don't worry.
I can make it challenging. There's different ways to modify all of this stuff, so it'll fit any level of fitness that you're currently at. We got a way to make it work. So check it out.
Don't worry.
All right, moving on. We got some new TheraPals. We're running out of time, Jim. We got to keep going.
Don't worry, be healthy.
New TheraPal, Persona Phone Hazard.
You're an idiot. It's Persephone.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're dumb. Persephone Hazard, welcome to the TheraPal community. Let's see if you can redeem yourself with theropods.
Cotty Charrington.
Yeah, you
Cotty
nailed it.
Charrington.
I believe
Oh,
it's
Cody.
ton.
Cody
Yeah,
Charrington.
It's up or down on that one. I think it's right.
Julius. Julius Capelli.
I like that.
Capel.
Or Julius Capel.
Julius Capel.
Very
Julius.
good.
There it is.
And
Julius
of course,
Capel.
we want to thank our therapist partner, Dirty B. Always a lot of love for you. And thanks to our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the TheraProducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Smitty, Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Dr. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Cindy Ash, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Newstick, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley, Slap at Ya Face, Polygon, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Myra, who sent us lovely treats from all over the world. That was delicious. Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, and a sad boy.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited.
And why wouldn't you?
And enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time that we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our special guest, my baby sister, Maddie. Thank you for coming. Congratulations on graduating. It's going to be fun. And thanks to all of those of you who contributed to the show today, but mostly people who sent us free shit. Thank you to you the most. And a Merry Chris Mahana Kwanzaa to you. Don't forget, share this episode into the world, people who need it, something like that. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's Facebook.com/PodTherapy, Twitter @PodTherapyGuys, Instagram @PodTherapyGuys, and Patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Dude, this orange soda shit is awesome.
Hey, we haven't checked in lately. Who's winning y'all's fantasy football league?
Oh, I'm getting wrecked. I think we're both like dead last.
No, but who had Ben? Because Ben is like
nobody has Ben. Oh no, Jim has Ben.
I have Ben. Is Ben winning?
I think he's only lost a couple games.
Ooh, gotta check the rankings.